Hi, my name is Chris Thompson, although my friends call me Nation Chris, and I'm an archaeologist. I grew up in the town of Wayland, Massachusetts, and it really shaped me into the archaeologist and historian I am today. So today, I'm going to be telling you a bit about my story and how that came to be. I was born in Boston in 1992, and my parents owned a house in Wayland, pretty close to the intersection of Concord Road and Gleason Lane. We have this big area of woods in the backyard with a hill on it and a path running up it. And I was always told that that path was made by the Native Americans who lived in the area. And when I was in kindergarten, the fifth graders put on a play, Treasure Island. And from that, I got interested in pirates. And pretty quickly after that, I got interested in shipwrecks. And it wasn't too far of a jump till I got into archaeology. So my mom was friends with a local archaeologist who lived just on the other side of that hill named Tanya Largy. And Tanya told us that the town had an archaeological society that did a dig every spring. So I got linked up with that. It was led by a man named Mr. Paul Gardescu, and I got on the excavation. And the second Saturday that I went out on the excavation, supervised by my dad, of course, I found an arrowhead, and I just got absolutely hooked on archaeology from that. It was the coolest thing to me, and I went back every year to join that excavation. And by the way, that excavation was just by the old town dump overlooking the Sudbury River. It's called the Sand Hill site, and it's an archaic site, so we really just have the stone tools preserved from it, but it's fascinating just how far back our town's history goes. So the site that I dug at is called the Sand Hill site, and it's on an area of the Sudbury River on a hill right by the town dump. It's an archaic site, mostly late archaic, and that means it's about 5,000 to 3,000 years old. So as many of you know, Wayland was founded in 1638, and it's only the third inland settlement in Massachusetts. Now, that's really cool because it gives us this depth of time that many other people in the United States don't have. The town was founded near where the old cemetery is, just a little bit towards the Sudbury River from the downtown part of town. So I kept going back to the excavation at the Sand Hill site every year. And that made me, by the time that I moved away from Wayland when I was 12, the third most senior member of the excavation after Paul Gardescu and Roy, funnily enough. I continued to find artifacts there, and it was a really productive time for me just learning about the science of archaeology. In addition to this, I got the Archaeology Merit Badge. I was part of Troop 1 of Contituate. And I also just found stuff on the playground growing up, both at Clay Pit Hill Elementary and at the Alpine Playground in town. I found pieces of pottery on the ground, I found tobacco pipes, and I also found stuff over by the Alpine Playground. And that was one of the ways in which I got in contact with archaeologists. In fact, I even found spear points and stuff, which I gave back to them. So after I moved from Wayland, Massachusetts, I came to the town of Zionsville, Indiana, and I grew up still being very passionate and interested in archaeology. I started making stone tools when I was 12 years old. In fact, it was actually Tanya Largy's suggestion that I go get a flint knapping kit in Ohio when I moved. And that really set up this love of experimental archaeology in me, where I'm always trying to replicate past methods of technologies and ways of being in order to gain insight from them and to put myself in the mind of a prehistoric person. In college, I continued these skills. I went to Wheaton College and double majored in archaeology and geology. And the geology really helped me in a lot of interpreting the stratigraphic parts of archaeology. I studied abroad in Israel, and I excavated there for 2 summers. And then after college, I went on to grad school at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, where I got a master's degree. I've been in CRM, which is Cultural Resource Management Archaeology, sort of private sector archaeology in the United States, for the past 5 years. And I currently work as the field director for a company called Bluestone Research Group, where I'm actively excavating a site in Woodbridge, Virginia, and that's been pretty darn fun. I hope that you will contribute to the archaeology and understanding of history in your own town, whether you're in Wayland or elsewhere. What we have is what we're going to pass on to our future generations, and I think that's something worth sharing. So Wayland has had at least 6 archaeological excavations conducted in it by the Wayland Archeological Research Group, and I was part of one of them. Although I had noticed as a kid on the playground artifacts related to one of the other excavations. Now, Wayland is fortunate to host the Mansion Inn site, which is a type site, which means it's the first sort of recorded instance of a specific type of archaeology. In this case, we have what are called Mansion Inn blades, which are these big blades made out of rhyolite, like this sort of shape. And these were found in cremation burials that dated to about 3,500 years ago. Alongside these were found stone bowls. This site was heavily looted, but there was salvage archaeology conducted that enabled us to preserve some of it. In addition to this, when I went back to Wayland for the first time since I moved when I was 12 years old, last year in 2022, I got to actually look at these collections, and I also noticed interesting stuff at the collections housed in the town hall and Wayland Historical Society, rather. These included projectile points that were from as far away as Pennsylvania, being made out of jasper, and points dating as old as 8,000 years ago. So after moving away from Wayland when I was 12, I kind of felt detached from it as a place, and I didn't actually get to go back to it for another 17 years. And when I was 29, I went back for the first time, and it was this kind of incredible reconnection with my own past. It was funny being there, because the last time I was there I was 12, and so a lot of things that I remembered being a lot bigger is like, oh, this hill was bigger the last time I was here, and I kind of thought that was funny. But I reconnected with Tanya Largi and Amanda, who encouraged me to make this video. When I got to go back, I helped document a couple of archaeological sites briefly in my time in Wayland, but it was really interesting to get to re-look at the archaeology of the town now that I've had actual professional training as an archaeologist. And it really enabled me to see a lot of new things to it. I would love to, in the future, come back and do more archaeological work in the town of Wayland. There's so much fascinating history that remains under the soil to still be discovered.